10th Standard Algebra, Chapter 4, Financial Planning, Module 2. In this module, we'll study about GST in trading chain. In this module, we'll study about GST in trading chains. Let us understand what is a trading chain. If any particular product has to be sold to the consumer, it will follow this chain. So the first in this chain is the manufacturer who manufactures that particular product. After that, the product moves to the wholesaler or the distributor. A wholesaler or a distributor is someone who purchases that product in large quantities from the manufacturer. After that, the third in the chain is a retailer. A retailer is a person who purchases large stock from the wholesaler. And finally in the chain is a consumer who purchases the product from the retailer. This is the chain in which any particular product is transported from the manufacturer to the consumer. Let us see an example. Suppose manufacturer of a watch has sold one watch for rupees 200 including profit to the wholesaler. Wholesaler sold that watch for rupees 300 to the retailer. Retailer sold it to the customer for rupees 400. A rate of GST charged at every stage is 12%. Then how each trader pays GST and takes his input tax credit at every stage of the transaction is shown in the following flowchart. Let us observe it and study. So the wholesaler purchased the watch from the manufacturer for rupees 200, and at this stage, the first stage, 12% GST was charged. So 12% of 200, it is 24 rupees. So we can say 24 rupees of GST was paid. At the second stage, when the watch is sold by the wholesaler to the retailer, the watch was sold for rupees 300. At this stage as well, 12% of GST was charged. So 12% of 300, it is 36 rupees. So the retailer pays rupees 36 rupees GST to the wholesaler. But if you see at the second stage, the GST paid by the wholesaler will be the difference in the amount. So if you see, the wholesaler paid 24 rupees GST and he took 36 rupees GST. So if you see, he then takes a difference, and the difference 36 minus 24 is 12. So he'll pay 12 rupees GST to the government. Similarly, if you see at the third stage, the retailer sold that watch for rupees 400 to the customer. At this stage also 12% GST was charged. 12% of 400, it is 48 rupees. So if you see now, the retailer, how much GST he pays to the government. So the retailer, he paid 36 rupees GST and he collected 48 rupees GST. If you take the difference, 48 minus 36, it is 12. So the retailer also pays 12 rupees GST to the government. One point to note that here is trading between GST identification number holder is known as business to business, and this in short it is called as B2B. Trading between GST identification number holders and consumer, this is known as business to consumer, in short B2C. This is the last link in the trading chain. This particular table is a bifurcation of taxes paid to the government by the trader at each stage. So if you see, by the manufacturer paid 12 rupees CGST, 12 rupees SGST, and in total 24 rupees GST. Similarly, the wholesaler paid 6 rupees CGST, 6 rupees SGST, and in total 12 rupees GST. By the retailer also paid 6 rupees CGST, 6 rupees SGST, and in total 12 rupees GST. So in total, if you see, the total is 24 rupees CGST and 24 rupees SGST, and in total 48 rupees the total GST. So at the end, if you see, the customer pays rupees 448 for the watch. That is, if you find out the 48 rupees tax GST. So the total tax paid by the traders was indirectly paid by the customer. So we can call GST, it is a type of indirect tax. In this case, the wholesaler and the retailer used their input tax as credit and they got back all the GST paid by them. Next, let us understand what is input tax credit, or in short ITC. GST is levied and collected at every stage of trading from the manufacturer to the consumer. As we seen in the trading chain, at each stage a GST was charged. When trader pays GST at the time of purchase, so that GST or that tax is called as the input tax. When GST is collected at the time of sale, this tax is called as the output tax. At the time of paying GST to the government, a trader deducts the input tax from the output tax and he pays the remaining tax to the government. This deduction of input tax, it is called as an input tax credit. So GST payable, to find out the GST payable, what you do is you take the difference between the output tax minus input tax credit. So input tax credit is nothing but the tax that is charged at the time of purchasing. So GST payable is output tax minus input tax credit. Let us understand the GST tradings in more elaboratively in this particular example. Mr. Rohit is a retailer. He paid GST of rupees 6,500 at the time of purchase. He collected GST of rupees 8,000 at the time of sale. We have to find his input tax and output tax. What is his input tax credit? Find his GST, payable GST, and hence we have to find the payable CGST and payable SGST. Let us start with the solution. Mr. Rohit's payable GST means GST to be paid to the government by Mr. Rohit. Output tax, that is a tax collected at the time of sale, as it is mentioned in the question, that is rupees 8,000. Input tax, that is a tax paid at the time of purchase, as mentioned in the question, it is rupees 6,500, and that is also as a input tax credit. GST payable, the formula is output tax minus input tax credit. So that is rupees 8,000 minus rupees 6,500, and that is rupees 1,500. Payable CGST, so as we know, CGST and SGST is half of your GST. So half of 1,500, that will be rupees 750. So CGST and SGST are one and the same. So the amount of CGST and SGST will be the same. Hence, SGST will also be rupees 750. Exercise sub number 2. J Chemicals purchased a liquid soap having taxable value of rupees 8,000 and sold it to the consumer for a taxable value of rupees 10,000. So we can consider these to be the cost price and the selling price. It's one and the same, taxable value. So while purchasing, the taxable value was 8,000, and while he sold the taxable value was rupees 10,000. Rate of GST is 18%. We have to find the CGST and SGST payable by J Chemicals. So input tax, it will be 18% of the taxable value at the time of purchase. So that is 8,000. And we know 18, if we solve this, 18% of 8,000 is 1,440. Similarly, output tax, that will be 18% of the taxable value at the time of selling it. So that was 10,000. So 80% of 10,000 rupees, 1,800. And now we have to find the GST payable. So we'll take the difference, output tax minus input tax credit. So that will be 1,800 minus 1,440, and that is rupees 360. So payable CGST and SGST will be half of 360, and half of 360 is 180. So 180 rupees is CGST as well as SGST. Now let us solve practice set 4.2. Question 1. Chetna store paid total GST of rupees 1,500,000 at the time of purchase and collected GST of rupees 1,22,500 at the time of sale during 1st of July 2017 to 31st July 2017. We have to find the GST payable by Chetna stores. So tax collected at the time of sale given in the question, that is rupees 1,22,500. Tax collected at the time of purchase is also mentioned in the question, and that is rupees 1,500,000. So we know GST payable will be the difference. So tax collected at the time of purchase minus tax collected at the time of sale minus tax collected at the time of purchase. That will be 1,22,500 minus 1,500,000. That will give you rupees 22,000. Thus, the GST payable by Chetna store is rupees 22,000. Practice set 4.2, the second sum. Nazma is a proprietor in a firm registered under GST. She has paid GST of rupees 12,500 on purchase and collected rupees 14,750 on sale. What is the amount of input tax credit to be claimed, and what is the amount of GST payable? Let's start. Tax collected at the time of sale, that is 12,500, and amount of input tax credit to be claimed by Nazma is rupees 12,500. So 12,500, we can also call it as an input tax. Tax collected at the time of sale, that is rupees 14,750 rupees. So GST payable, so this 14,750 rupees, we can also call it as the output tax. So GST payable will be tax collected at the time of sale minus the tax collected at the time of purchase. Or in other words, we can also say it as output tax minus import tax. So that is 14,750 minus 12,500, and that is rupees 2,250 rupees. Thus, the amount of GST payable by Nazma is rupees 2,250 rupees. Question 3. Amir Enterprise purchased chocolate sauce bottles and paid GST of rupees 3,800. He sold those bottles to Akbari Bros and collected GST of rupees 4,100. Mayank Food Corner purchased these bottles from Akbari Bros and paid GST of rupees 4,500. We have to find the amount of GST payable at every stage of trading and hence find the payable CGST and SGST. So if you note in this question, there is a trading in two stages. So the first stage of trading is from Amir Enterprise to Akbari Bros, and the second stage of trading is from Akbari Bros to Mayank Food Corner. Let us start with the solution. Tax collected by Amir Enterprise at the time of purchase, that is rupees 3,800. Tax collected by Amir Enterprise at the time of sale. So while Amir Enterprise sold the chocolate sauce bottle to Akbari Bros, they collected a tax of rupees 4,100. So if you see, this is the first stage of transaction. So in this case, 3,800 will become the input tax and 4,100 will become the output tax. So GST payable by Amir Enterprise will be tax collected at the time of sale minus tax collected at the time of purchase. That will be 4,100 minus rupees 3,800, and that will be rupees 300. So this is a GST payable by Amir Enterprise. So the CGST and SGST will be half of rupees 300 and half of 300 is rupees 150. Now, if tax collected by Akbari Bros at the time of purchase, as it is mentioned in the question, it is rupees 4,100. And tax collected by Akbari Bros at the time of sale. So Akbari Bros sold the chocolate sauce bottle to Mayank Food Corner and they collected a tax of rupees 4,100. This is the second stage of transaction, and here 4,100 becomes the input tax and 4,500 becomes the output tax. So GST payable by Akbari Bros will be tax collected at the time of sale minus tax collected at the time of purchase. So the difference will be 4,500 minus 4,100, which is rupees 400. After that, we need to find the CGST and SGST, and as we know, that will be half of GST, that is half of 400, and that is rupees 200. Question number 5. Miss Beauty Products paid 18% GST on cosmetics worth rupees 6,000 and sold to a customer for rupees 10,000. What are the amounts of CGST and SGST shown in the tax invoice issue? So here 18% GST was paid on the cosmetics and that was worth rupees 6,000. And it was sold to the customer for rupees 10,000. We need to find the CGST and then the SGST. So let us start with the solution. GST in tax invoice, so that is 18% of the taxable value, that is 10,000 as it is mentioned in the question. So 18% of 10,000 will be 18 upon 100 into 10,000, which is rupees 1,800. CGST in the tax invoice will be equal to the SGST. So we know CGST and SGST will be the same. So since GST is rupees 1,800, CGST and SGST will be half of GST. So half of 1,800 is rupees 900. Thus, the amount of CGST in the tax invoice is rupees 900 and the amount of SGST in the tax invoice is also rupees 900.